I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the organizing team for providing me a splendid opportunity to present a paper titled Rethinking India's Maritime Security, Climate Change as an Emerging Non-Traditional Security Threat. I want to go, before going to the details of the paper, I want to go the background of the context. When you look towards the security, you will realize that there is three perspectives, mainly all the authors or scholars exploring. One is international perspective, and other is national perspective, and third one is human perspective. When you look at the media perspective, media is always saying that there is war is going on, or the war maybe happens soon. This is the media perspective. When you look at the international perspective, they told me that there is an anarchy in international order, and the state should follow the realist policy so that they can preserve their grounds. And third, the human perspective. Now the emerging global situation where the cosmopolitanism is emerging nowadays. People are moving forward from one state to other state, and they are not limited to the boundary. In nowadays, the climate issue is really a serious concern for the human being. In this regard, in this context, I am going to explore the background. In the 21st century, security is no longer limited to the conventional military threats. Non-traditional security challenges, particularly environmental and climate-related risks, are increasingly shaping national security agendas. For India, the maritime domain is strategically vital due to its role in trade, energy security, and geopolitical influence. Climate change is emerging as a critical factor that reshapes vulnerabilities within India's maritime security environment. The security agendas before the non-traditional security threat, there is environmental security threat, there is conventional asymmetric terrorist activities that confront between two littoral states or more than two states. There is economic security concern, which talks about trade routes, smuggling, living and non-living resources, and the political context marking territories, exploitation of resources, and management. For this paper, I just follow the IMRAID theme, which talks about introduction, methodology, results, and discussion. IMRAID theme I followed throughout this paper. In introduction, India's maritime security discourse remains largely focused on traditional naval and military concern. Climate-induced environmental stress is increasingly affecting coastal regions, marine ecosystem, and maritime infrastructure. These challenges generate indirect yet serious security consequences that demand analytical attention. The study addressed this gap by situating climate change within the framework of non-traditional maritime security threat. The satellite, why I'm showing the satellite view of India's coastal line, just because of, look at this picture, you will realize that there is so many people are living around the coastal line. And if we only think about the traditional, that is military perspective, to encounter the security concern, then we will forget about the interest of the people or community which is living around this coastal line. So we must think about their well-being as well. For the all-time weather situation, India's geographical location allowing India's to interact with the other world so that they can preserve their marine resources or available their marine resources for their communities, for their well-being, not for the other countries. That's why this is important for the India's perspective. Objective of the study, the The study examined climate change as as an emerging non-traditional security threat to India's maritime security, to analyze the impact of climate-induced environmental stress on coastal zones and marine resources, to assess the implication of these changes for human security, maritime governance, and the national strategic interest. The conceptual framework for this study, the study uses the study grounded in the non-traditional security framework. Climate change is a threat multiplier. Climate change implication not be seen direct to the state or direct to the community, but it considered as a threat multiplier. When any threat is going on, suppose that there is a drought or rain or heavy rain in the area, then if the climate change is going to happen, the ratio, the rate of the rain will be increased sooner. And that context the direct threat to the community. Climate change is a threat which is treated as a threat multiplier, but now there is also a part of environmental degradation, resource stress, and the human insecurity that are interconnected with the marine instability. Maritime security is understood as encompassing ecological, economic, and human strategic dimensions. That is the conceptual framework that I use. Methodology, for the methodology section, this study adopts a qualitative, analytical, and interpretive research design. It relies on secondary literature, policy, documents, and strategic and maritime security assessment. The analysis of analysis focuses on the interaction between climate stresses and the maritime vulnerabilities in India's security landscape. The key climate-induced stresses is identification of cyclone and extreme weather events, sea level rise and coastal erosion, saline intrusion into the coastal ecosystem, warming ocean waters affecting maritime biodiversity and fisheries. Major finding of this study is related with the climate change is degrading climate change is degrading marine ecosystem and reducing resource availability. Coastal erosion and rising sea threaten ports, naval infrastructure, and marine trade routes. Resource depletion intensifies competition over the fisheries and maritime livelihoods. These factors collectively reshape India's maritime threat environment beyond traditional military risk. Climate change, for the discussion, climate change amplifies not traditional maritime risk by undermining coastal livelihood. Environmental stress contributes to the migration pressure and social instability in the coastal region. Strategic maritime assets becoming increasingly exposed to the environmental and governance challenges. Maritime governance become more complex under the condition of ecological uncertainty. For the policy implication, maritime security strategy must be improved beyond purely naval and military preparedness. Must be some climate resilience program to the community which are situated in the coastal region. Climate adaptation and coastal resilience should be integrated into the maritime planning. Sustainable management of marine resources is essential for long-term security. Regional and international cooperation is crucial in addressing transboundary maritime challenges. The climate, when I put the climate resilience framework into the policy, we must need to identify the climate drivers and the climate change mitigation program, then put into the implement, and after monitoring the effectiveness or efficacy, when we move forward to the management into the how we can improve this policy by identifying further climate drivers. For conclusion, climate change presents a significant emerging non-traditional security threat to India's maritime domain. Its impact extends across ecological, human, economic, and strategic dimension. Rethinking maritime security through a climate-sensitive framework is essential. A holistic approach is necessary to safeguard India's maritime interest in the area of accelerating climate change. That's all for my paper.